Hello, and thank you so much for coming in to chat to us today. How are you?
All good.
Good.
It's nice weather today, so.
It is, it's really nice. I'm just like spying outside. It looks really nice and sunny and warm.
Yeah, it is good.
So, okay, first of all, tell us, what is it that you do as a job?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm predominantly a dance artist, so I work for lots of different companies, and I've just started creating my own work as well. So that's sort of the new pathway that I'm going down at the moment.
Brilliant. And is that because of COVID and the year we've all had that you've kind of transitioned into that, or was that something that was in the pipeline anyway?
It was kind of in the pipeline pre-COVID, because what happened was I put in for like an Arts Council bid and decided that, because I had a commission to create some work, and I sort of devised a whole project, and then COVID happened, so I had to pause it. But then I still managed to do it, but in the second term of lockdown.
Right.
So now I'm sort of trying to put another bid together now to start creating the second phase of work, because it went well the previous time, so that was quite good. Yeah.
Oh, that's really exciting. So you've got it all going on then. You've got a lot of exciting things. And I suppose as hopefully the world is getting back to a little bit of normality again, things are starting to open up, but you'll be able to hit the ground running and get going with it all.
Hopefully. I feel like it's just been difficult with spaces and things being open, but I've actually been really lucky, because everything's sort of just pieced into place, because I had to kind of shift what I was doing around COVID, so I couldn't do as many of the workshops and like face-to-face interaction with like students and with different people, and like people coming in the space, but I was actually really lucky that I could still make it work in some sort of a shape. So,
amazing. So let's go back a little bit to your early career, or kind of where it all started for you. How did it start?
When I was 6 in a lot of church halls dancing around, and I trained like in lots of different things, like mainly classical dance, and I did acrobatics, some jazz,
bit of everything,
a little bit of tap. But then I just didn't really gel with school very much. Like I was sort of just sat there and didn't really know what was going on. Whereas I went to dance class and I kind of just clicked with me. Like I could focus really well, where I didn't used to be able to focus that well, and it became like a semi-obsession. Like I'd go home and like practice all of the different exercises we'd done and do everything. And my mum was like, "Oh, you've clicked with this," and I really wanted it, so I just pushed and then kind of progressed from the church halls to like I did all my exams, and then went to like dance, went to college, and I found contemporary dance, and I was like, oh, this is quite cool actually. And then from that sort of progressed on to going to vocational school, and had a bit of a journey with that, and like uni, and then I did an MA. Then I was like, what am I doing?
Like, how has it got to this?
And then I started performing again, because my MA was more in choreography and like dance for the camera. But I'd sort of decided that I don't know, it sort of made me go, I want to move. I don't want to just do that. So then I'd sort of embarked on performing again for the past sort of 7 years. I've sort of just done performing and like worked on different projects with different people, and then I've slowly come around to the idea of starting to create some of my own stuff again.
Amazing.
So yes, that's sort of been the journey.
So that's good. I mean, honestly, it is great. I love hearing about other people's like pathways and journeys into what it is that they do, because everybody's completely different, and there's not one right way or one wrong way to do it.
Exactly.
So it's really exciting. And so when you left university and then you thought, okay, I think I've got more of an idea of what it is that I want to do in contemporary dance, how did you start to get work?
Yeah, that was a weird one. I was really fortunate. So I did my degree, and then I did a couple of other little bits and started performing in between, and then I was like, I think I'm going to choreograph. I went to London, did my MA, and during that time, because I was in the building with lots of undergrads as well, I sort of was like, oh, I still have the buzz to do a bit of that. So I sort of just started auditioning, and the way I ended up here was I auditioned for a graduate company, and it was a 6-month contract, so I like had to relocate, and from that, everything just sort of aligned really nicely. I was very lucky. So I auditioned just before the end of that 6-month contract, and I got a job with a company that was they were just creating a new work for outdoor touring, and that was a big block. And then I did another job, and it just all sort of aligned. But it is difficult, I think, with freelance for it. But it kind of meant that that's why I stayed up here, because everything, like the community is great. There's like such a nice group of us, especially like in the Newcastle hub, and we've all sort of gone off and done our own little things and then come back and work together a bit. And it's a really beautiful place to be with everyone. So
it's so nice that you said that, actually, because we did briefly talk about it before we started filming. And the community feel, and everyone's very supportive as well. So you've kind of always got someone there, like in your corner, like cheering you on, which is really essential in the industry, you know, the creative industry. It can be really cutthroat and difficult, draining mentally and physically. So to have that support, knowing that you've always got someone like as your little cheerleader, is essential, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely. I think there's a group of us, like all of our friends, that sort of just gel together. But it's strange, when I moved up here, like we were the slightly younger ones, and now there's a group of us, like I'm in my early 30s, and we're like, oh, there's so many young ones now. And it's like everyone forms their own little loops, but then we all sort of end up working on projects together as well. So it is nice. You form like a really nice network.
No, definitely, it's really exciting. And I think, I mean, do you still find that you, even though you've had what, you know, seems to be a really good career and a consistent career, do you ever get that anxiety of thinking, oh God, what if I'm going to be out of work? Like, I am self-employed, like I need to keep pushing it and always looking for the next project, for the next job, for the next audition. Do you still find that as well?
Yeah, I do, especially after what's like this past year, when it felt like the whole industry is about to break and fall apart, and you're like, But there's something interesting in that, because I feel like it's been a real big reflection time at the moment as well, to think about all the times that you've gone through thinking, oh, I might not have work, oh, I need to do that. And I went through a phase of deciding that I didn't want to audition anymore, not during lockdown, before, because a lot of the audition processes I just didn't agree with. I felt like it's becoming a lot better now, but there was a lot of it where you're a freelancer and you're expected to give up your whole day and often spend a lot to travel to a place, and then it's not even the day, it might be a weekend of audition, and then it might be you have to find accommodation, and they might, you know, you could get knocked out at the first hurdle, and it is great. But I found that I was going to auditions and just networking, which was wonderful, but you'd see all of the same people and you'd be like, oh, and it was so lovely to see each other, but I was like, what am I doing this for? Because I'm losing days of work, and there's like no security in it, and I sort of wasn't too keen on the audition process, so I'd only tend to apply for jobs that I felt were invested in the people, or that you know, you'd send your video to, and then they'd have an interview with you, and it'd be a bit less about like giving up all of your time. So I went through a phase of that. I don't know whether it's because I was just having a moment, but I don't tend to apply for them as much anymore. I seem to this like try and work with the people that I've worked with for years. Like I've sort of built some really great connections with people, and like I sort of that's so nice. It's so good that, you know, you've worked hard to be in that position now where you know, you can do that. You can relax a little bit more in the confidence that you've got your community around you and everyone's working hard. I probably should, I probably should try and audition a bit more, but I would still if it was the right work. But I think when you get a bit older as well, like you kind of have to look. There's a lot of parameters around the jobs that come out. I did find, like, when I was younger, I was having a conversation with a friend about this. When I was younger, in fact, like they wanted, like, you had to have 3 years professional experience. A lot of the job titles said, and you just come out of training, and you were like, how am I going to have that? And then now I'm older, it's like, seems like the bracket is that they want under 30-year-old dancers or 40 plus. So I'm like, well, I've missed all the brackets. Like I've missed all the boxes. Like now I'm in like an older bracket, like a sort of limbo bracket. If like I'm not quite old enough to be really cool, and then I'm not young enough to be like spritey, so it's like
Do you know what, I can completely relate, and I think it's probably going to be one of those things where you always seem to think that they're looking for everybody but
Yeah.
where you are now at that point.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like that in the creative industry from like an acting perspective as well. And it's so hard. And I think that's where the demand and the mentality becomes difficult, because you're always trying to maybe mold yourself into something that other people want. Where actually, as you said, you're creating your own work now. You can afford to create and be and make the jobs that you want for yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is really exciting.
It's very privileged, isn't it?
No, I think that's the dream, I think.
No, yeah, I do feel really, I'm really lucky, and I acknowledge that, so that's cool. But I've worked for so many cool people from the Northeast as well that treated me very nicely, so I'm really lucky. Good. I know some people have bad experiences, but I have had some really great experiences. So.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So while we've got you here, tell us about some of your favourite projects that you've worked on, over the years.
Oh gosh, yeah. So I've worked with some big community projects as well. We did the opening for The Word, actually. That was cool.
Oh, brilliant.
With over 100 different participants from this area. I've worked with lots of different people's stories on another project as well, which was beautiful. I've got to meet some of the people. To be honest, everyone that I work for seems to be able to pick an amazing team of artists. And that's what it is. It's the projects are amazing and all the things we get to do. I'm not one that's big into I performed on this really amazing theatre. I'm not really, I love that, don't get me wrong, I'd love that, but it's more the people and who I get to work with. So I've got to work with some great people and amazing people, and learn so much. So it's kind of the team that I fall for, as well as the performance, obviously. But
definitely,
and I've got to do some cool things in a few different countries and stuff when I was younger. So that it's I've had a great time.
I mean, it sounds it. Honestly, it really, really does. It sounds amazing. I'm just sitting here, watching you, listening to you talk, and it's making me excited. Just because it sounds like you absolutely love what you do.
Yeah, definitely.
And you sound like a real people person as well, which is essential, and it's really lovely to hear the amazing support that you've had, especially within the Northeast.
Oh yeah, predominantly there's so many cool people here.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So I do have another question for you, and it's a question that I like to ask everybody who we interview, and we always have a whole range of different answers. So, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, something that maybe you wish somebody had told you when you were younger, what would it be?
Oh, good question. It's gonna sound cheesy. I'd say just trust the process, because there's been so many times where I'm oh gosh, I need to do this, I should have done that, why didn't I do that? But if you just chill and sit in it a little bit, I feel if you trust in yourself and trust in
you
the
have
process.
that vibe actually, you come across really chill and just content and just really genuinely lovely, but trust the process.
A bit more, because sometimes I wouldn't, and I'd get myself really uptight, so I think I'd just be it'll all work out fine.
Yeah, we can all do with reminding ourselves of that, especially right now.
Yeah.
So that's really good advice.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for taking the time to come in and talk to us today. And it's been lovely to meet you.
Oh, thank you. Lovely to meet you too.
Thank you.